20-gram mushroom trip report, posted to the Shrooms subreddit 7 years ago by the user Yeargood. When I first started my mushroom journey, I had no idea where it would lead me. I mean, once you start taking mushrooms, you start removing layers of bullshit that life has been throwing at you during your entire existence. It's almost like all the choices you've made in your life have brought you this far, and the more you learn, the more you feel like you have made the right choices along the way. It's a delicate balance of understanding how to align yourself with who you are in life to whom you are supposed to be. Once you start to trust what the mushroom is telling you, you become more certain of your future. In my case, after this 20-gram trip, I feel like the happen of time of my choices is already predicted, and now it's just a matter of me experiencing it. It's a feeling I am certain of, or else I wouldn't be here writing you this. It's weird. All the little binary choices in my life, fear versus courage, love versus hate, action versus inaction, commitment versus quitting, as well as faith versus unbelief and trust versus betrayal, all of them, they're aligning into a destiny. It's kinda like the transformation of a car that can go anywhere, compared to a train that is stuck on tracks. This 20-gram trip felt like a reward for me. This has been a really difficult week for myself. I'd been tested in ways I didn't know how to respond to, didn't know what to do. The best analogy I can come up with is that of your boss coming into your office and throwing you a general outline of his plan and telling you you have 1 week to plan and 1 month to execute. When you are given that task, you look at it and you feel like there is no fucking way in hell you can accomplish that. You work and work on it, day and night, stressing about it all the time. Your job literally depends on it. At some point, you feel like quitting, like there's no way you can do what you're supposed to do. You decide that you have no choice, and you commit. After the week has passed, you come into your boss's office and show him what you have accomplished. You know that the competition would crush you if you executed that plan. When you present the plan to the boss, he looks over it and gives you a smirk. You don't quite understand what just happened, and ask him why he's smirking. He looks at you and says, "When I gave you that task in the timeline provided, I always knew it was impossible. I just wanted to test you and your trusted staff. I just wanted to see the mistakes you would make so we can work on correcting them. Your deadline is not a month from now, it's actually 2 months from now." Fucking bosses, they can be a pain in the arse. When this happens, you don't know what to feel, relief or anger. Boss looks back at you and says, "I always knew you could do it. I just wanted to see what kind of commitment you would put to the task. I just wanted to test you. I just wanted you to believe in you." This is the type of commitment a 20-gram trip brings. Imagine being thrown out in the ocean. Does it matter if you are 10 or 20 miles from shore? There's no point in asking where you are, you just take the leap. As for the trip itself, well, it went something like this. After I played and laughed with my kids for about 4 hours, they went to bed and I ground the mushroom up, letting it soak in the lemon juice. As I was waiting, I laid in bed with my oldest daughter. I wanted to fill my heart with as much love as I could muster. I knew that there was no way I could pass through the eye if my heart wasn't filled with love. Think Grace versus Jake Sully in Avatar. As I laid in bed with her, waiting for the lemon juice to do its magic, I ended up falling asleep. I woke up around 3 AM and proceeded to take the dose. Now, you have to understand that this is the hardest part, chugging the concoction down. After it was in, I went outside and lay down on the floor, looking up at the stars, waiting for the mushrooms to hit. It's a mixture of pain and nausea, hitting your gut and your body all at once. As I laid there, I closed my eyes and the visuals start popping up. Pink, purple and blue fractals, snowflaked shapes, lines everywhere. After a while, a mosquito started buzzing around my ear. I got up and started walking, thinking and coming to conclusions about my life. After a while, I just collapsed on the floor. Next thing I remember, I am laughing uncontrollably. Think Jesse Pinkman drooling and yelling, seeing an inside joke the universe is playing on humanity that no one else can see. Best way I can describe it would be having a ball of infinite energy inside you, and you being able to feel that ball. It's like you're able to touch it. Now I don't know how long I was like this. All I know is that after laughing uncontrollably for a while, I remember my wife coming out to see what was going on. It was like I was a crying baby, and she wanted to shut me up. Except I wouldn't. I just looked her in the eye with those mad expanded pupils and kept at it. It was beautiful. That feeling of white, pure, energetic rage inside you. Something indescribable, and a memory I will cherish for the rest of my life. After some time like this, the mad laughing stopped and I somehow mustered strength to go to bed. There, I just laid down and stayed in a catatonic state for a while, my mind still reeling. I was the happiest I had been in a long time. As far as my next heavy trip goes, I don't know when that will happen, but when it does, I'll be sure to post here with you guys. Always with love, Ynglet. I just thought I'd leave some closing comments about this report because, yeah, it sort of flabbergasted me when I read this and realised he actually had a relatively mild experience on 20 grams dry, and he does insist that it was dry. Someone in the Reddit post in the comments was like, oh no, surely it's 20 grams wet, and he does say they were dry, and that just shows to me that, yeah, people can have radically different experiences. You give 20 grams dry, well, if you give 20 grams dry to me, like, I would either be crying on the floor like a baby or just having an instant ego death experience. Obviously, the psychedelic experience can be extremely relative. I've known people who've taken like ridiculous amounts of shrooms and just had like literally nothing happen to them at all, not even get any visuals. It's happened to me before where I took like truffles, these like super strong truffles from a website that I always used to get them from, and I'd had experiences on lower doses and had insanely profound revelations. And then another time I took like the highest strength and 20 grams of them, and it literally didn't even affect me. So there's so many circumstances in your life, your genetic makeup, your brain chemistry that can affect your trips. And also in the comment section, this is another thing that sort of messed with my head, the fact that he did it while his wife and children were there, because I know I've done my most popular mushroom trip report, the Facing Insanity one, the 10 gram one. He also did it while his children were out. To be fair, that's probably much better than doing it while they're in, because it's pretty risky. You never know what's going to happen. It can be a bit reckless doing that, but thankfully it went alright for this guy. And some person asked him, who's been deleted, said, how does your wife feel about your mushroom usage? Also, how do you feel tripping at home with your children present or potentially present, especially with such a high dosage? And Ynglet replies, it's like this. Let's say that holding the mushroom in your stomach is a gate. You are either allowed in or not. Binary. You may feel that you can hold it in, but if the mushroom decides you are not worthy of that dosage, I feel there is absolutely nothing you can do to hold it in. The first time I took 10 Gs, I felt sick to the point where I could feel the vomit coming up, but I begged that the gates would be opened for me, and they did. I've thrown up with doses of 6 grams, and my last dosage of 15 grams I threw up as well. This one I was sure I would be able to hold, based on the choices I made previously. It's like I was able to predict the future, simply because everything else that was behind me was aligned correctly, or else I would have vomited. Now, for me to be able to have that assurance, I knew I would have to feel lots of love in my heart. There would be no way I would be able to hold it in if I didn't feel that love until the moment of dosage. Had it been different, I would have thrown up. I felt like I needed them to be present. I needed their love. As far as the wife is concerned, she asked me not to do it again when they were present at the house. She was scared neighbours would call the cops on me or something like that, but I was sure it wouldn't happen. The only way you can become erratic while on mushrooms is if you have fear in your heart. If I shared her fear, I would probably have lost it. It's a delicate balance, and one that is unique to each of us. So there you go, that's his rationale for doing it while his family was in the house, so he could generate more love for the trip. To be honest, I don't really condone this. I don't judge the guy whatsoever. I mean, I don't know him at all. It's literally just some Reddit post. But I've got to say, I would not recommend doing this at all. It is quite reckless and irresponsible. You really don't, obviously, in his head, it's like, oh, I'm guaranteed to go alright because I'm generating all this love to absorb from my trip, but you can't be that headstrong about stuff like this, especially psychedelics. Just imagine if his children saw him, or he literally just went crazy because he was literally taking 20 grams. That's not even small dosage. Like, it's relatively unheard of people doing doses this high. So honestly, yeah, if you're planning to do this and you're a father or a mother, don't be doing it while your kids are in the house at all. So yeah, not exactly the most profound megadose trip report, but certainly a unique one, and also shed some lessons on set and setting. This was a pretty dire setting, even though the mindset he was going into it with was positive because he was filled with love. He did do it at the expense of his family. Again, no judgment whatsoever. I wish this guy the best, and I mean, he's obviously a great dad. He absolutely loves his kids, but I think he slipped up a bit there, and it's not something that anyone should follow in the footsteps of, in my opinion. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you take care. And if you'd like me to do some more stuff like this, maybe commenting on what I think about the trip reports at the end of the video. I know a lot of people are just here for the stories, but if you'd like to hear more about that, let me know, and I'd sure like to do it because I have a lot of thoughts on the reports and the individual details of them and how they all link in. and I think they'll be pretty groovy. So yeah, take care everyone, and Happy New Year!